welcome to Jadekind Gaming. My name is Adam, and today I'm going to be showing some example builds with Dwarven Forge. To begin here, I have two sets. I have Savage Gorge and the Smuggler's Cove from the Caverns deep line, and I've built them together here. Also, just first to see how much space they actually take up. There's a whole pile of extra bits that came with them, so I have those for the build as well. I don't know why this boat is in here. Once you build them together, like without it, it's like, oh, it can go out, but then when you build it with the other part of it, water is clearly coming in from the little cave there and going up this spot that it could never go in. So this boat can only go from here to here. Whatever. But yeah, so we got our base build from them, taking up a big chunk of the table. Things that are exciting for me with the prospect of doing this. There's a fair bit of cavern cliff pieces, so I can do a little bit of elevation. That'll be cool. Between the two of them, I have the base to the Stairway of Violence and the actual, like, the Stairway to Violence top. So I look forward to trying to put those together. The boat is cool, but I have the docks and I have the bridge. I might want to try and do something between those. The docks have little pin points to connect to the bridge if I want to. So that's an option. Otherwise, fair number with banks to utilize all these water terrain trays. Definitely fun options for open areas of water. So that's kind of all in my head. I think without and at this point I'm gonna of course cut away to build. One, because I don't really have something in mind, so it would just be me taking a while trying to figure out what I want to do. And two, so I can listen to music while building, because I found that is very enjoyable. Is to, when I'm settling in to build something with Dwarven Forge, I love to just put on some music. But I'll come back. I think I'm gonna probably start trying to do one other large kind of this build. It's near table-sized build. So I'll do one of those, and then I'll probably do like a second build, taking pieces from both, make something smaller, but just another example. But yeah, so really the goal is just to show off a couple other ways that you can put these pieces to use. Some example builds, some inspiration. So I'm gonna get started on that. And so I ended up with a lot of pieces left over. Even on the first one. I don't know. The more I was just thinking, I could add more stuff, but it wouldn't add anything to it. It would just make it look more cluttered. I mean, like, probably stalagmite or two up here. That's good. But for the most part, I mean, so the idea with this one, see, I have a bunch of stuff here. Basically, I left all the docks and bridge and boat, because that's gonna. I came up with a quick idea for each. So here's the idea for the next one. This is basically what I drew out for this one. Quick sketch, just coming up with an idea, and then trying to make it work. So the idea is there's like a tunnel that enters and then rises up. This is supported by a 4x8 terrain tray on stilts. And then you have the cave cliff pieces, and then above the cave cliff pieces you have a row of floors, so there is actually a step here down. It kind of goes around here. That light is there next to this exit to the room. Over here, I have this little... There's this little thing, like, this is murky, gross water. You don't want to get in it, but there's this little cave opening, and so I put a light over here, because it's kind of even hidden behind this towering stalagmite. but they can see it is there. They go from around. And then there are the lights over here next to this main exit, this tunnel that carries on. Otherwise, you kind of have in the room 3 distinct regions. You have this entry area up on the cliffs. Then there's this area over here that you don't really know what's over there. This would probably be completely optional, just like there's some corpse that has some extra, either like a magic item, which maybe, if they get close enough, like if they manage to get here, their detect magic can reach to determine, oh, there's something small like a magic ring over here, and so some little thing like that, or a bag of coins if you want, whatever. And then otherwise, there is this area over here, which has the full Stairway to Violence. Both base and topper lined up where this stairs kind of actually start over here and wind their way up around to the top, where I put the little box. So I have my little 4-scale mage up there with this deadly magic box. And I ran low on normal floors. So I ended up raising up this area here, which just makes more variety, especially if you want to have like spot for cover if they're having to battle with the person up top, like with ranged attacks. So we have a variety of different elevations over here. This pointy stalagmite is hiding that this here is not a floor, it is an elevation, and this here is the underside of the elevation block platform. Makes rough terrain if you flip it upside down, and it's hiding the fact that I used the trapdoor floor when I did not want a trapdoor. I just covered it up. So that's 2 ways that I got extra floors out of this. Of course, if I were doing it with my whole collection, I have a nice big, I think 6x6 floor that would have just gone right in the middle of it and I'd have moved on. But because I was limiting what I was working with, I ended up with all these elevation variation options and things like that that make the room more varied and interesting. So this is definitely like an encounter, a layout with this murky water, elevations, enclosed room with 2 primary exits and 1 mysterious in the cave water exit. Some sort of idea for some sort of fight from atop the Stairway to Violence. Probably some loot over here in this strange corner that juts out into the murky water. And so that is one layout, one build with this collection. And then I have, like I said, I had the card. I have an idea for a second one. So I'm going to put that together now. And so the second unique build, again, this one even has even more pieces left over. Although I'd originally, I'd said sort of as I was coming out with it, this one would probably use less. And this one is really going more in the idea of a cove. This one utilizes the bridge, the docks, and the boats. And as opposed to the cove in their little Smuggler's Cove, where it basically led nowhere, the idea is this one leads out. So we have a few different areas here. We have this little area coming in using the water coming down. So there's like an exit from a cave there, and then of course the main exit coming up through here. So the idea is this is like a cavern exit onto this cliffside, and this is double high cliffs. So that was fun. I just barely have enough cliffs to do something like that, and even still I had to use things like the stepped elevation block. But that worked out well because that took me a step down so that this ramp could lead here. See, I didn't use a whole lot of stalagmites. I used one here because I wanted to make something jagged, almost as a reason to why they built the dock a little further out. There are some banks over there, but otherwise it's just, the idea is these are cliff walls that are coming up, and they're just going straight down to the water. I have like a lantern, a torch over there, with the idea that maybe it's like a signal, because this is sort of an inset little cove, and that's saying, okay, you're going to the right area. I have my little mage going, wait, as the puzzle box is now in the boat being taken away. Now, the way I did this dock worked out well. This is all one piece. See, I have the pegs that came with the bridge, and there are ones that are angled, so I took angle down, straight, angled it back to level it out, and have that. I also took 2 straight pegs, and I just attached them here, so that these 2 docks at this angle attach. So that worked out well there. And I did not... There's one pylon missing here because they don't both fit together if you have them both at that corner. Figured out. But otherwise, it's definitely a lot more negative space, and it's sort of a theory of the water just keeps going out. Like if I had more trays, I'd just stack them out over here, but essentially the idea is sort of a rush down the docks to the boat. Perhaps something chasing you, perhaps someone's leaving on the boat and you're having to rush to try and stop them, prevent them from getting away, something like that. I only went with the front and back section of the boat. I left out the middle because this is already, what, a 25-foot long boat? It's like, that's a long enough boat for what it is. I don't need a longer one. Oh! And another interesting thing with this build. So, this section up here is, of course, on top of a terrain tray, raised on stilts. This section back here with the... to do the tunnels, I was low on stilts, so I have both sections, top and bottom of the Stairway to Violence next to each other, as well as a bunch of single stilts and things like that just stacked up to balance everything on top of. So I was like, here are some tall pieces, I'm just going to make these into stilts. So, don't have enough stilts. Not using Stairway to Violence? It's a nice big piece. It was actually really easy to balance stuff on because it's a big beefy piece. But that's kind of what I get for doubling up the height, because I went 2 cliffs high, which I think really adds some interest, especially if your players are used to you using your cliffs and you always go 1 high or 1 and a piece high, but then double it. It adds even more precarious, even further of a cliff. So yeah, that was fun. But yeah, this is definitely a different build. This is sort of like an exit of the cliff. I didn't use a lot of stalagmites because I don't think of this as being cliff. There's, of course, there's some covered area, so there would be some stalagmites, stalactites, but it's opening up. Like, the idea is it's just opening up to the sea on the far end, so you're not going to get a whole lot of... You're at the exit of the cave, basically. But, yeah, so there's 2 optional build ideas. Of course, not using everything, but just combining pieces from Smuggler's Cove and the Savage Gorge to make some interesting builds, other ideas, a couple ideas for a few encounters. For me, it's just fun to sit and play with it. For probably each build took around an hour, almost. But part of that was the time to come up with the idea. But also, the more I build with it, the more I'm familiar with what pieces there are, and the quicker it seems to go moving forward. So, for me, it's that's one thing I'll recommend. If you have Dwarven Forge and you have trouble coming up with ideas or knowing what you can build, just sit and play with it. But here's a couple ideas, couple encounter thoughts. The first one being some sort of encounter utilizing the Stairway to Violence. This one being some sort of exit from a cave, some sort of chase out of the cave. Let me know if you want to see more of this kind of, build idea. Like, comment on this, and then also whenever I'm doing, because I'm going to continue to grow my Dwarven Forge collection. If I do unboxings of sets that say you have, let me know, like, hey, I have that set, show me other ways to utilize that, or how to combine that with other things, kind of thing. So obviously that's the idea. This is most beneficial to you if you have these sets, to know how to, other ways to use them, just to get ideas. Anyways, yeah, thank you for watching. Join us next time for more. Bye.